goddamn Nightbot. I actually got a question. Shoot, man. What's up? What are the good mill ideas for wide gameplay? Let me think. How wide are we talking about? World conquest wide? After this patch. Of course. So a world conquest is what you want to do, right? Well, if you want to play why you go for world conquest, not necessarily. There are people who expand to a certain size and then they stop. So, like, some people would consider this Commonwealth and this France wide. I'm not even joking. Some people would consider Ottomans by default like this is wide. Some people would consider Bengal, Bahmanis and Delhi like this wide. There are a lot of like people who don't have the skills to go and push any further and they just think everything is wide. I call it Tor. I mean, depends. Tor is HRE, Austria, Bohemia type of gameplay. Or the PayPal state like this. This is Tor. You develop everything to 30 development or some shit. I mean, this is Tor. I mean, this is not that Tor. Yeah, England is Tor. Never mind, what are the good ideas? Okay, it depends on what you want to do though. Like, if you take religions, for example. Hey, Schwag. What's up, Schwag? Yeah, it's been some time. So, like I was saying, sweet. The ideas changes drastically because you have to consider policies as well and your national ideas. Generally, I'll give you the general one first. Generally, I think you always would benefit from quantity because you always like more manpower, bigger armies, especially if you're wide, then you can just pile. If your troops are not that great, just make a bigger army, pile them, wear them down, and siege their forts. So for that reason, quantity is really good. Defensive also really good because with bigger armies comes bigger attrition. You get less attrition from defensive. Even after nerf. Dude, it was bad shit overpowered before. It's not much of a nerf, but more of a balance. Like, come on, man. Like before the nerf, defensive and quantity beats out everything else. End of story. If you want the most raw, brute power for your army, you get at quantity, you get defensive, then you're done. Like, you have the morale to keep reinforcing forever. Defensive is really good. Defensive is extremely good. But the thing is that defensive got nerfed really hard by the removal of mercenaries. Because back in the day, if you run full mercs, like if you're a rich nation, you run full mercs, you don't need quantity because manpower never matters to you, right? But then, like, if with nowadays, because mercenary is so fucking cancer to use, you just want to use regulars. And I mean, at least from my opinion, right? I don't like mercs. I don't want to micro this bullshit. You know, they like nowadays mercs basically only give you infantry, right? Mercs ever only gives you infantry, and then like you can't split the stack. So for example, if the game decide to give you 40 infantry in one stack, like what the fuck, man? What are you gonna do with it? You're not gonna fight with 40 infantry and no artillery and no cavalry, right? You can't send 40k into a battle and expect them to win. But then if you take that, and also it takes a shitload of attrition if you put your artillery with it, and then when you want to micro them, you have to attach them and stuff, and which is a pain in the ass. I don't want that on my own army. I don't, especially like you say, you're playing wide, you have a big army, and like this is the kind of thing you don't want to deal with. It's so annoying, right? So anyhow, what was I saying? Like, yeah, so In that case, you want quantity. But before this nerf, you don't need quantity because you can just run full mercs, pay the money, right? Oh, what the fuck? So I would say nowadays you want quantity because early game manpower was an issue. It helps a lot. Afterwards, I would say at some point you can even ditch quantity if you want to, because afterwards in mid-late game you want. I mean, the morale is still very good early game though. Don't take me wrong, but then later on with like if you run proper big stack like 40k infantry, 40k artillery in late game, you want the attrition with humanist. Offensive is the best first idea. No, it's absolute garbage for the first idea. For one reason. Already I can already tell you why. For one reason, it is complete dog shit. Because like early game armies do no damage. First mill, no, it's trash. Because for a single thing that most of the things don't matter to you. +1 shock, +1 fire. If you don't even have the army, what's the point of a general? And then you have siege ability. If you don't have the army, how are you going to siege anything and fight battles at the same time? If you don't have, and then you have force limit. If you don't have already a big force limit, 50% is nothing. If you have 10 force limit, 50% is 1.5. What is the point of 1.5? It's not going to help you. And then discipline. What is the point of discipline when your troops can't even fill the combat with? Simple as that. Alright, so I am going for the last bit of land that I need for the achievement. And then maybe I can farm Israel if I want to. Usually it's going to be for 10 admin. Sometimes it's not up to you. First 2 defensive ideas on his own beats the entire offensive first. Exactly, that's what I just said. Like, the 15% morale beats everything. And then the attrition early game also helps a lot with your losses and manpower. In fact, if you don't want quantity, just take defensive. Defensive is like a more balanced quantity ideas. Like, the thing is that, like, you're right. You actually, if you're really good at a game, or if you have a good like nation, then you don't need any military ideas at all. Like the whole discussion and is null and void. But the problem is that if you're using some backwater dog shit like nation, you do need the military ideas early on to help you even the odds, especially if you fight majors like France or Spain. Double army tradition is a steamroller. That's if you can win a lot of battles, then yeah. Because like, yeah, army tradition gives you morale. Delete defensive? Why would you delete defensive? Are you serious? I would literally delete quality. If something I would delete is fucking quantity. You know why? Because manpower you can get by taking buildings. You can get the manpower bonus from just building a lot of buildings for manpower. You can get low. You don't care about regiment cost and lower maintenance if you have a lot of money, and you don't care about a 10% attrition when you have defensive humanists. And force limit also. You can build force limit buildings if you really need it, or trade company investment, which you probably don't need anyway. Like, quality is garbage, quantity is losing its significance late game. But on defensive and offensive is still one of the best. Like, offensive is great because of siege ability and discipline. And the extra pip after you got a lot of pips. Defensive is good for not even having a general. You just put your shit at a rebel and you win. You try doing this. they had converted both times. When did you take the provinces? About 1474, I think. And we hold on, look. Yeah, I stake here 73, 4, 5, 5. Okay, maybe a bit later, but then I needed to do the war, so 1475, 76 or something. Offensive kick of a whore, early humanist. Humanist is compulsory in this game.